Hey everyone, welcome to Simplilearn's YouTube channel. Today, we will learn about data modeling in Power BI. In this module, you will understand the fundamentals of Power Pivot in Power BI, data loading and data modeling in Power BI, along with practical demonstration. So, that said, if these are the type of videos you'd like to watch, then hit that like and subscribe buttons and the bell icon to get notified.
Craving a career upgrade? Subscribe, like, and comment below. Dive into the link in the description to fast-track your ambitions. Whether you're making a switch or aiming higher, Simplilearn has your back.
Just for a quick info, if you want to upskill yourself to master Power BI skills to land your dream job or grow in your career, then you must explore Simplilearn's PL300 Microsoft Power BI Certification Training Program. Simplilearn offers extensive Power BI training. This program enables you to solve business problems and improve operations. This course helps you master the development of dashboards from published reports, discover better insights from data, and create practical recipes for various tasks that you can do with Power BI. That's not all, you also get 30 plus hours of blended learning, industry-based projects for experimental learning, dedicated live sessions by faculty of industry experts, industry-recognized course completion certificate, and many more. After completing this course, thousands of learners have transitioned into a data analytics role as a fresher or moved on to a higher paying job profile. If you are passionate about making your career in data analytics, then make sure to check out the link in the pinned comment and description box below to find more details about PL300 Microsoft Power BI certification training. Now, without further delay, let's get started. Now, what exactly is data modeling? So, most of the times, your data might be from different sources. Let's say one of your team member prefers to use Microsoft Excel, and another one prefers to use a relational database. And sometimes you might have to take care about the real-time streaming data from your company's websites, like maybe the traffic for today, current traffic, current number of leads, current number of applications submitted, revenue, cost per lead, etc. Right? So this data comes from different sources, and you being a data analyst should be able to segregate all the data, collect all the data, filter it, and create one single module to perform your analysis, right? So the process of collecting data from different sources, segregating it, and trying to relate them to one another is a process called as data modeling in Power BI. Now, data modeling is done with the help of Power Pivot. It's also available in Microsoft Excel, maybe since at least more than a decade, right? So the same Power Pivot is also used in Power BI. Now, to understand more on that, let's go ahead. Before we get into Power Pivot and understand all the technicalities, let's understand some theoretical answers. Now, modeling can be done in two ways. First one is the dimensional modeling, which is currently used in most of the business intelligence tools, and another one is the relationship model, which we have seen since ages, where we use in normal relational database, where we create some foreign keys, some primary keys, and try to relate one table to another based on the foreign key and primary. Now let's go ahead with the dimensional module first. So what exactly is a dimensional table, you ask? So dimensional table is one of the set of companion tables to a fact table. So let's say the center table which you have here, sales, is the fact table. So sales data will basically have the product ID, order ID, profit gained, price of the product, quantity, etc. Right? So this particular table, which is in the central place, which is called as a fact table, is connected to the store, which will have the details of the store, region, location, and another table which has details about product, another table which has the details about dates, shipment date, order date, delivery date, and another table, customer. So all these dimensional tables are connected to the fact table, right? So so the fact table is something which will not change over time. Let's say on today's date, on current date, you made a sale of $100, you sold 5 to 6 products, right? It will be the same even after you open the database after an year. It is not going to change. It is a fact. It is a real data, right? And when it comes to product, there might be changes in product ID. There might be changes in, minor changes, not if not 100% change. There might be negligible changes. There might be negligible updates, something like that. Maybe you are collecting customer first name, second name, phone number, and address. Maybe tomorrow you might also want to have an email ID added to it. Maybe tomorrow you want to add some specific, customer IDs or custom something, some additional things to your data set. So that's the difference between the regular table and the fact table. So this is how the dimensional modeling is done. When it comes to the next type of modeling, that is the relationship model, right? So you will be having one table and you will try to connect to a different table, right? Both these tables are connected based on a primary key and a foreign key. So the primary key in product table can be the product ID, right? And when you go into the next table, which is product type, there you will be having maybe category, subcategory, product name, and the category or the subcategory can act as a primary key for product type table. Additionally, there will be another column on the name of product ID, which will become the foreign key for product type table and a primary key for product table. And you can connect product table and product type table together using these primary key and foreign key. So the people who know SQL might have a better idea on this. In case if you don't have idea on that, we have a dedicated set of tutorials on SQL and data loading. So you can have a look at that in the same Power BI series. Now that we have a detailed understanding of the types of modeling in Power BI or data modeling, let's proceed with the relationships, right? Cardinality, or the types of relationships which you can establish using the previous model which we discussed, which is this one, dimensional model, right? So the cardinality or the types of relationship, what you can expect is one to many, many to many, one to one, and many to one. Let's say we will deal with the same sales data and customer data, right? So in customer data, let's say we have 10 customers, and in the sales data, we have the same 10 customers, but 100 entries, right? So customer number one, maybe let's say Harry Potter. Harry Potter is your customer, and Harry Potter bought 10 wands today, and after a couple of weeks, he came back again and he bought 10 more wands, right? So there is a multiple entry here. So many entries are related to one entry, which is in customer table, right? Such relationship is called as one to many. And when it comes to many, then you might have another table, sales table, and products table, right? Where you have the product, the wands, right? So wands to customers, that is many to many. And there is a specific wand, let's say elder wand, and the user. You guessed it, right? It can be the last one who holded the wand. So one to one. That kind of a relationship is one to one. So remember, we are using some movie analogy so that it is easier for you to understand. And the last type one is, let's consider it as a slight assessment to you. So you tell me in the comment section about what could be many to one. So these are the types of data modeling and cardinalities which you can perform while data modeling. Now we will understand this in a much better way using a practical demonstration. Before we move ahead using this directly on Power BI, let's understand Power Pivot, how exactly it works in Excel. Then you can understand how it functions in Power BI. Remember, so Power Pivot, Power Query, one and the same for both Power BI and Microsoft Excel. So Power BI is an advanced version of Microsoft Excel, which has, you can consider this way, okay, which has some additional functionalities of creating some vibrant charts and ability to get connected to a bigger, higher, advanced versions of data storage like cloud, etc. Right? So that's how you can simplify the difference between a Microsoft Excel spreadsheet and the Microsoft Power BI product or the business intelligence tool. Okay, pretty much so far so good. Now let's quickly switch to Microsoft Excel. So this is my local storage, and here we have some Excel files. So remember, Microsoft Excel or Microsoft Power Query or Microsoft Power BI can load data from an Excel worksheet, a comma-separated file, the same Excel file which is saved in form of CSV. It can take data from a PDF, it can take data from a website, it can take data from cloud. So we have also covered an exclusive tutorial on how to load data onto a Power BI from various sources. The link can be found in the description box below, or let us know and we will have it sent to you. So we have the same tutorial in our Power BI series, right? So here we are dealing with the Microsoft Excel files. So as discussed before in the dimensional model, we have the fact table, which is the sales data, and other are all the dependent measures of data where we have customers, store locations, product data, region, sales, etc. So we will also have this data set or the file linked in the description box below. Should you want to follow us in this demo, you can download the data and follow us in the explanation process. Now let's go ahead. Let me open sales data and let me also open another data set which will have customers data maybe. Let's try to open a few more files. So this is the customers data, and here we have sales, here we have a product, could be store locations. So we have opened store location, sales team, product data, customers data, sales data, and lastly the regions data, right? So we have about 6 files in it. So we can, load all these 6 files onto Power BI, and so here we have already created a data model over here. So before we directly jump onto this, we will understand how exactly the Power Query and Power Pivot works in Excel so that you can apply the same knowledge on Power BI for a better understanding, right? Now let's close this. We don't have anything to do with this right now. Let's understand. We deal with Microsoft Excel, right? So we have the sales data right over here, and the next, let's say we go with, right? So here we have different regions, south, west, north, right? So we don't have the region data in sales table, but what we have is sales channels and order dates, shipment dates, etc., customer ID, correct? Now let's say I have a query. I want to find out how many number of sales happened through this particular sales channel in all the regions. Let's say I have east, west, north, south, and I wanted to find out how many number of wholesale sales happened in east region, how many number of in-store sales happened in west region, right? So when you want to do this, you might want to run some formulas or run some tools like building a pivot table or maybe a VLOOKUP function, which is a little complicated to understand, right? You might have to create an entirely new table. You might want to pull the data from both the tables using the lookup key, the range, the exact match, right? The number, the column number, and the exact match or approximate match. It's a hectic task, right? But when you know how a Power Pivot or a pivot table, Power Query works, then it's just like a breeze. So let's quickly maybe create a new workbook, and here we have Power Pivot option. Should you have a doubt how to activate Power Pivot, it's really simple. So you just need to go to the file option over here, just click on file and go to options, enter, and here you have an option called add-ins. Click on add-ins, and here just go to Excel add-ins com. So you need to select the second one, com add-ins, and go. I have already included the option, so I have it over here. In case if it's not added, just click on Microsoft Power Pivot for Excel and just OK. You will find it in the ribbon right next to it, right? So here you have it. Now, before we just directly dive into Power Pivot, let's go to home and try to load data. So go to data and get data from file. So we are working on Excel workbook, so we'll take Excel. So we wanted to find out the region-wise sales, correct? So go to downloads, and here we have data modeling in Power BI data sets, and expand this a little. Go to sales data and import. Now the Power Query will be firing in the background, and it will show you the various tables it just had a look at, and select the table you want. And now instead of directly loading it, go to the option called load to. Now it will give you a new option where you don't have to import the entire table, but just create a connection only and add this to the data model. Check on that, correct? So these are the two steps: only create connection and add this data to the data model. Press OK, and so far so good. The sales data is getting loaded. Now let's try to do that step once again, and now we will import a different table, which is regions data. Import, and there you go. Select state regions, load to, and the new box or new window where you will be selecting only create a connection and add this data to the data model. Okay. Now the magic starts. Go to the Power Pivot and select Manage, and here you have some tables: sales table and state regions, correct? Now you are not using any VLOOKUP, XLOOKUP, HLOOKUP functions. You are not using any pivot tables. You are just clicking on the option called Pivot Table. That's all, and a new pivot table will be created. Right now you have sales and regions. Select maybe the region and go to the first table where we had sales, and maybe you can count the order numbers. That will also help you, or you can unit price unit. So I'll go with the number of sales. Initially we wanted to find the number of sales, right? So you can just add the order number. Okay, remove this from here and from the rows, we don't want. And count, so it has automatically taken the count over here. So you have the count. So you totally have, okay, Midwest. So we have Midwest, Northeast, and Southwest. So you might have found that the previous number was a little same, right? So that's due to, due to this, if you try to detect the connection, we can't detect any relationships on selected pivot data, right? So why did that happen? If you go into the Power Pivot window, so here you can see the data on all these things, right? And when you go to the state regions, you don't find the state code, which should have been common in both these, right? So if you go to the diagram view, so when you look at both the tables, you don't have a common key in between these two. But when you go to another table in Excel, we have something called state code, these two, so that we can establish a connection between sales, state regions, and store regions. So let's do that. Let's go to data view. And now go to one which we created. We don't need these. Go to home, data, and get data from stores. Store locations data, locations, load to, create connection only, add this data to the data model. Now everything is fine. Now we have three regions or sheets: regions, locations, and sales. Now create the pivot table. You can actually add in the existing worksheet, select the location, here it is. So now we have loaded all the three tables: locations table and sales table, which is right over here, and also the state regions. Now let's go back to the Power Pivot, which is right over here, and go to diagram view, and here we have it. Now we have the state code here. Drag it to attach it to this state code region over here. Correct? That's one relationship. And the store ID, which is here, hold and drag it to the store ID in sales region. Now we have established a connection between all these three tables. You can just simply save it if you want. And now, okay, let's cancel. Oh, and now, if you try to identify the region-wise sales, now you can do it. Let's add locations, region to rows. Drag it and add it here. And from sales, select order number and add it to values. So it's automatically to count. So we are counting the total number of sales happened in Midwest, Northeast, and South. And in case if you wanted to add more about, let's say, store details, you can also add that from region, state code, or state. So let's select state and drag and drop to rows. And now if we can expand or contract this, so here you have a consolidated table altogether with state-wise and region-wise sales and their numbers, right? So that's exactly how the Power Pivot works. So you don't have to use any lookup formulas. You don't have to add some mathematical calculations. It is just creating a relationship which looks something like this. You're creating a relationship and it is extracting the data and, creating a consolidated data table just like you wanted. So this exact same method is implemented in Power BI as well. So let's quickly go to Power BI window and start Power BI and try to experiment the data modeling in Power BI as well. It should take a little while. So there you go. You have the Power BI window. Close this and just get the Excel data. So we added the first one. There you go. Select the sales team. Load the data. Since it's already processed, no need of data transformations and data cleaning. This data is already clean and neat, right? Now let's also add the other data sets we have. It'll take a little while, but it's all right. So the sales team has been successfully added. Now we will add region data. Select the state regions. Load it. It takes a little time, but it's all right. Now we have the state regions as well. Product data. Select the product data table. Preview is fine. Press OK. So we have products and scroll down, 2 more to go. Select locations data. Load data. Customers data. 5 down and 1 last one to go. Sales data. There you go. Select the sales data. And now we have loaded all the 6 tables to Power BI. Now, unlike Excel, so if you remember this, so we have, manually created the relationships between the tables. But one good reason why we should prefer Power BI is it can help you automatically, establish relationship with other tables. So if you go to manage relationships over here, you have an option called auto detect. So it will automatically detect the relationships between the tables and it will create the relationships. So you can find it in here in options. Options and settings, go to options here. So not that modeling one. So it will give a new window on the screen and here you have an option called data load relationships. So import relationships from data sources on first load or to detect new relationships after data is loaded. In case if this is not checked, then you can just check and press OK and your data model will be ready for creation. Now here, let's create a table data, a matrix data. Double click on this so that you have one here. Just like the one we created previously, just load the locations. So we had region in region, yeah, here we have it, right? Just load region to rows, and maybe you can also add state to rows, and you can count the number of orders we received. So it should be available in the sales data. So number of store ID, discount, order quantity, order date, order number. So every order is unique, so I think order number should be fine. You can add order numbers and values, and it can be, you can count it, and you have, okay, let me expand this if possible. Okay, let me close all this. Mode, so this should help us. So just like the pivot table what we created there, we have the same pivot table here. So that's how you can create the relationship between all the tables in your dataset, and you can create a perfect data model to create the visualization of your choice. So with that, back to report, and here you have the report view, table view, and model view. So if you check the tables, you have customers table view, location table view, products table view. So if you're attending an interview, then there are chances where you might be tested about your skill set, like if you really know Power BI or not. So they might ask you what's table view, what is model view, what is report view. So the view where we create the reports or visualizations is the report view, and the view where you can just have a look at the data how it is called as the table view, and this is the model view where your data is loaded and Power BI has automatically established the relationships between all the tables. Remember, in Power Pivot, we manually created these relationships, but here you can see in Excel, Power Pivot, we had to manually create the relationships. But here in Power BI, you can see Power BI has automatically created the relationships. So here it has a one-way relationship. So if you double click it, you can make it two-way. So it's not single way anymore. You can make it both the ways. And it has a one-to-one cardinality relationship here, right? So it has locations and state regions. So you can find out what type of relationship is built and what type of cardinality has been established between any two tables or any number of tables which are involved in this Power BI data model, right? And that brings us to the end on this topic of data modeling in Power BI. So this was the previous model which we created, and that's the new model which we just created right now. And with that, we have come to an end of this session. If you have any queries regarding any of the topics covered in this session, or if you require the resources like PPT, datasets, or the workbook in Excel, or the workbook that we created in Power BI Desktop, please feel free to let us know in the comment section below, and our team of experts will be more than happy to resolve all your queries at the earliest. Until next time, thank you for watching and stay tuned for more from Simplilearn.
Hi there, if you like this video, subscribe to the Simplilearn YouTube channel and click here to watch similar videos. To nerd up and get certified, click here.